I think we're going to get started. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining. And I want to let everybody know that this webinar will be recorded so that we can share it afterwards for people who aren't able to attend or who would like to look at it again. I'd like to ask everybody to stay muted if you're not speaking. I'm very happy to have Dodie Johnson here as my moderator. And if you have any questions, you can use the raise your hand function and she will unmute you and we'll answer your questions. We will also have some time at the end for Q&A. So with that said, we're going to get started. We're here today to talk about how to show your cat. Obviously, right now, it's not a lot of cat shows going on, but it's a great opportunity to learn more about cat shows and understand how to enter them and what happens at the show. Before we get started, I want to just do a little quick introduction of myself. I am a TICA specialty judge, and I've been a judge since May 2017. I'm also currently the MP region, Mid-Pacific region, TICA regional interim director. I show and breed Persians, and I have done that since the mid-80s. I actually grew up in Sweden, and my first breed was Norwegian forest cats, and I showed them in FIF over in Sweden. I came to the US in 1988 and bought my first 2 show quality Persians here. And actually at the same time, I attended my first TICA cat show in San Francisco, which was super exciting. So that's just a little bit about myself. Let's see if I can.
We also wanted to let everyone know that we are recording this. So just to let everyone know, you are being recorded for future presentations.
Yes. Okay. So today we are going to talk about cat shows. And first of all, why would you want to show your cat? What is a TICA cat show, and what cats can be shown? And how do you prepare for a cat show? And then when you get there, what actually happens? And then after the show, what do you do? Sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical problems here. There. So why show your cat in TICA? TICA, this is TICA's motto: fabulous, felines, fun, and friendship. And that is really encapsulating what TICA and cat shows are all about. Over the years that I have shown cats, I have made so many friends, and TICA is truly like a family to me. And I know for most people who show, we all love going to the show and hanging out together. It's super fun, and once you get hooked, it's kind of addictive. The competition is great, but it's also a lot about having fun with your friends and spending time with people who share the same interests you have and who love cats. I know it's hard for a lot of us right now, like I said, not being able to attend shows, but hopefully we'll get back to shows in the real near future. There are some shows in some regions in the world, not right here right now in where I'm at in California or in the Mid-Pacific region. But like I said, now it's a great time for us to prepare and learn more about how you can attend the events and get the most out of it. So just first a little bit about what is TICA. TICA, the International Cat Association, if you know what the American Kennel Club is, the AKC, TICA is like the cat version of that. And we are really a group of very passionate cat lovers and feline enthusiasts. TICA is also the world's largest genetic registry of pedigree cats and household pets. We are truly an international organization with thousands of members and hundreds of clubs around the world. And I know that we have members or attendees here today actually from different countries in the world, not just the US. I know we have somebody from India with us, so welcome. That's super exciting. We're also continue to have steady registrations around the world, and we continue to grow in numbers of members and catteries. We recognize more breeds than any other cat fancy organization. And what's very important to us is that our household pets compete for the same titles and awards as pedigree cats do. We also have programs to ensure the future of the cat fancy. We have a great junior exhibitor program for our younger exhibitors. And we also have a mentoring program for new exhibitors and breeders. And the reason TICA is so strong is really in a great part due to our membership. TICA welcomes everyone and encourages breeders, exhibitors, and cat lovers to join TICA and become a member. And the membership really helps shape the association. They are able to vote on critical issues and drive changes in the organization. So that's a little bit about TICA. So now, what is a TICA cat show? I know many of you have been to cat shows, and I know many of you may not have. But first and foremost, I think TICA cat show is a lot of fun. It really is super fun and exciting to see your cats compete and hopefully win. And like I said, also to an opportunity to hang out with your friends and other cat lovers. It's obviously a judged event where our cats compete to win titles and awards. In a show, we have individual judging rings, and of course the cats in the show. We have two kinds of rings, all breed and specialty. All breed is basically what it sounds like when the judges make their final top cats in each category. They choose from all of the breeds in that category. Specialty is divided up by long hair and short hair, so the judge will pick their top long hair cats and their top short hair cats in the categories. And we'll talk more about this a little later. In the judging ring, you will of course have a judge, but you will also have a couple of other very important people. You will have one or more clerks. They are responsible for keeping things on track and to document the judges' decisions and check things for accuracy. You also have one or more stewards that are responsible for cleaning the cages after each cat has been there. Also super important to make sure we disinfect the cages after each cat. The cat show season runs from May 1st through the following April, and at the end of the season, all the scores are tallied and the top cats are selected both regionally and internationally. And shows vary in format. They can be 1, 2, or 3-day events. So there's lots of different formats. All right, now that we know a little bit about what the cat shows are, a lot of people probably saying, I don't have a pedigreed cat, so what cats can really be shown? Well, if you don't have a pedigree cat, no worries. You should show your household pet. TICA welcomes household pets, and they compete for the same type of titles and awards as the pedigree cats. In general, almost any cat can be shown. The minimum age is 4 months, and cats have to be in good health, of course, and up to date on their vaccinations. Any adult household pets, so that's 8 months and up, they must be altered and spayed. Obviously, you also want to have good temperament and a willingness to be handled by strangers. You don't want your cat to bite the judge. In terms of physical properties, eyes, ears, legs, if any of those are missing, that's acceptable in alter classes or household pet classes, but not in the other classes. You can also show your cat or kitten once without it being TICA registered, but if you really want to join the fun and compete for titles and regional and annual awards, then both pedigreed and household pet cats must be registered in TICA. And we'll talk more about this later, and we actually have a special offer for attendees of this seminar if you're interested of registering your household pet. All right, TICA recognizes cats for competition in 8 classes. Kittens, which are kittens, pedigreed kittens that are in colors or breeds recognized in TICA. They have to be at least 4 months, like I mentioned, and they compete in that class until the day before their 8 months. When they turn, the day they turn 8 months, they enter the championship class if they are not spayed or neutered. If they're spayed or neutered, they will enter the alter class. And then we have, like I said, the household pet kittens and household pets. In the household pet kitten class, it's the same in terms of the age requirements, 4 months minimum, and then by the time they turn 8 months, they compete in the household pet adult class. In the household pet class, you can show non-pedigreed cats. There could also be kittens from pedigreed parents that can't be shown in a kitten class for some reason that sometimes you will see shown in that class. Then we have a couple of special classes. Preliminary breed is designed to evaluate new breeds that potentially could get recognized for championship competition. The preliminary new breed are for those breeds that are at the beginning of this process. Once they get to a certain stage, they get into advanced new breed, and they are cats that have, or breeds that have demonstrated merit to actually advance in the program towards championship status. So for example, we have a breed that went through this and became championship status a few years ago, like the Lycoy, also known as a werewolf cat, that went through this process and is now a recognized cat for championship status in TICA. We also have something called new trait, which allows for evaluation of new traits like colors or hair lengths. So for example, in the Bengals, recently long-haired Bengals were approved as a new trait, whereas before we only had short-haired Bengals. Okay, so how do household pets and kittens compete? Well, they compete, as we saw, in their own class with other household pet kittens, and they compete for titles and top awards just like the pedigree cats. They're judged primarily on condition, beauty, and show presence. There isn't a written standard that dictates how the different body parts should look. It's a lot of it in the eye of the beholder or the judge that determines this judging. And like I said, you can even register these kitties and earn points and titles and even larger awards. Here's a little bit more details on what judges look for in household pets. So condition, want a healthy cat, you want it to be clean. Obviously it's a beauty contest, so it's very important that the cat has had a bath and is well groomed, the nails are trimmed, the ears are clean, etc. Judges will also look for personality, playfulness. Are they sweet, purring, kissing up to the judge? And overall beauty. Like I said, it's really often in the eye of the beholder. You know, certain people think different things are beautiful, different colors, stripes, spots, etc. So now that we know what cats we can show, we have a cat we want to show, how do we prepare? So the first thing you want to do is figure out how do you enter a show. And first, you want to find a show that you want to go to. And there's a show calendar on the TICA website. This also has a built-in entry program that some clubs use. A lot of clubs use this. It's called TOES. You'll click on the show that you're interested. I want to go to this show here in Reno on the 11th to 12th in April. So I click on that and it will give me more details. It will show me what the show hotel and the show hall is, what the judges are. It will also show me how the entry clerk and the show manager are, and a link to the show flyer, to a show flyer. The entry clerk and the show managers are important people. The entry clerk is there to collect all of the entries, and they are there to help you if you have any questions or issues getting entered into the show. And the show managers are there to answer any general questions you might have about the show. And then for even more details, you can click on the link for the show flyer. And I'm not going to go through this in detail, but you can see that on the show flyers, typically everything and anything you want to know about the show. Like, what are the show hours? When can you show up to check in and start setting up your benching area? And also important is, when does the show close for entry? There's a deadline that you need to enter by, and you want to make sure you know what that is. Once the show is closed, then you cannot enter the show anymore. So now, how do I actually enter? So like I said, for a lot of shows, you can enter directly on the TICA website using this program called TOES. But some clubs use other entry programs, and then there will be a link to where to go and register. And one important thing to know is that in order to enter your cats using TOES, you will first need to set up an account, and you add your cats into the account. And this may sound difficult, but it's really pretty easy. And the entry clerks are usually super happy to help guide you how to get that set up. And once you have it set up and your cats are there, it's really very easy to enter your cats. It will show up like this, and you will click on add new entry. And here my cats show up here, and I decide which cat I want to show, and I just click on this and follow the instructions. In addition to this, some clubs have what's called a summary sheet that you may have to fill out. That's just kind of a summary of your information and what you're requesting. If there are special things you're requesting, like extra groom space, and if you want to be benched next to your friend and things like that. Once you're entered, you will receive a confirmation from the entry clerk, usually within a few days, but it might be longer. When you get that confirmation, you want to check that it's accurate. And if you see any issues, contact the entry clerk before the show, because it's much easier to correct an error before the show and before the catalog is printed. All right, now I entered the show. So how do I prepare? Well, if you're going to travel, you want to make travel arrangements and hotel arrangements. If you're staying at a hotel, you want to make sure you make your reservations early. There is usually a show hotel that the cat club has negotiated special rates, and making sure that you're allowed to bring your cat into your room. And those rooms usually have a cutoff for booking. So you want to make sure that you book before that cutoff to get the special rate and any special things that the club may have negotiated, like they may have negotiated no pet fee. Some hotels may have pet fees that you have to pay. Again, double check your confirmation from the entry clerk, and then package up your supply. And we'll talk more in a bit about what you want to bring or think about bringing to a show. Then you want to bathe and groom your cat. It is a beauty contest again, so it's super important that your cat is clean and well groomed. Also important is that the claws must be trimmed on your cat before the show. And you need to make sure that your cat is current of all the vaccinations and is in good health at the time of the show. You will need to have current feline distemper and rabies vaccine. And I strongly advise that you bring your cat's rabies certificate with you in case there are any questions that come up. So now, what do I bring to the show? Well, first of all, you need a cat carrier, not to keep your kitty in at this show, but to transport it to and from your car and to the hotel if you need to. You'll also need cage and cage coverings, and I'll show you next some options for cages. You want to make sure you bring something soft for the bottom of the cage and maybe a kitty bed. You want to bring litter box, water, food, and food bowls. Cat litter is often provided by the show committee, but if not, or if you want to use a particular kind of cat litter that your cat likes, then you want to bring that. Also good to bring nail clippers just in case you forgot to clip them before the show or before you went to the show. Any grooming tools that's needed, this is highly dependent on the breed. So what kind of brushes and combs or sprays and powders you might need to bring to use at the show. Also good to have your verification of the entry and your payment handy in your phone or printed out. And again, your vaccination records for your kitties. All right, so now where do I keep my cat at the show? Well, usually there's a couple of options. A lot of times, in most shows, I would say, still the clubs supply these wire cages that you can see on the bottom here. Those are usually, those need to be covered by all sides except for the front. And a lot of times people, when they use them, like to dress them up with fancy curtains and fancy displays like you could see here. Many people, though, like to bring their own cage. That's kind of a foldable thing that you bring with you. You could see an example up here. This is from Sturdy Products, which is a popular brand that many exhibitors use. These can also be used in the car when you're driving to the show. You put them in your back seat and strap them in and put your kitties in there while you go drive to the show. And whichever cage you have, you will have that in an assigned benching area. So when you get to the show, you will be given a space, and that's where you set up your cage in that area. You can also choose to pay for extra space, like what we call a grooming space. You can see the little kitty sitting here on this area. This is typically referred to as a grooming space, and people will take out their cats there and groom them before they go into the judging ring. And you can also request to bench near a friend, or if you're a new exhibitor, it's a great idea to ask if you could get benched near an experienced exhibitor that can help you throughout the day and understand what's going on in the show, and if you have any questions. All right, and then lastly, just understanding in general what exhibitor etiquette is for the show. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's good to be familiar with and making sure we comply with the TICA show rules, registration rules, and bylaws. All of those can be found on TICA's website, and you could go through those and check those out before the show. It's not allowed to sit in the judging ring and hold cats before or during judging, except for if you have explicit permission for some reason. Sometimes cats spray, for example, and we may not want to put them in the cage, so the cat owner may get special permission to hold that cat until it's time to get up on the judging table. If there is a reason like that, make sure you ask the clerk before the number goes up for such an exception. You also don't want to tell the judge which cat is yours, or make it known to them which cat is yours, or how they have placed in any other ring, or if you've been to shows before, what titles they have, or have they done at other shows. Also, you shouldn't groom your cat in the judging ring. So when you bring it up and put it in the cage, you should already have groomed it and have it ready to be put in the judging cage. So now we're at the show, and what actually happens. So first off, when you get to the show, there's an area where you check in. And the clerk that will check you in, it's important to check in, because if you don't, you might be marked absent. Obviously you don't want to be marked absent. You will then receive a catalog, and I'll show you an example of what your cat's entry might look like. They will give you a ribbon typically, and then they'll tell you, like I said, what your assigned benching area is, and that will typically be marked with your name so you can find it. You want to check the catalog for the number of your cat. A lot of people will mark it on the front of the catalog or put it on their hand so that they can remember the number when they're listening to numbers being called to the different rings. Also, again, check the catalog for any errors. And if you find any errors, then you need to see someone called the master clerk. They are responsible for the overall show results and documenting the overall show results, and they will help correct your errors. And then set up your benching area and put your kitty in there, and they can rest there and until they're ready to get called to a ring. At the start of the show, show management will introduce the judges, and then the judging will start. You may want to check the schedule, the judging schedule. That's usually found in the show catalog somewhere, often at the back of the catalog. It will show what categories are judged when in the different judging rings, and it can help you keep track of where you need to go next. Your cats will get called to all of the rings during the show. So you need to listen to when the numbers are being called and bring your cats up accordingly. There is usually a seating area in the front where you can watch your cat being judged. And your cue to when you can bring your cat back is usually when the clerk puts down the card that's on the top of the cage, or they turn it around, or they might say something like, okay, the person is all ready to go back to the benching area. Then you can take your cat and bring it back to the benching area. After the judging is done in any ring, you want to make sure that you listen for finals and see if your cat number's in the final. And we'll talk more about that later as well. But this is kind of, in general, what happens when you get to the show. So here's an example of a catalog. This is my kitty. You will see here the cat's number. This is what I need to listen for when being called. You want to check that all this information here is accurate, the color, names, and registration numbers. If you don't have a registration number yet, it will say registration pending, typically. And if you have received a registration number since you entered the show, then you can provide that to the master clerk, and they will add it, which will make it easier for scoring purposes. Want to check your age, and also the region. It's important to check that your region is right, because if you are competing for regional awards, then you want to make sure that the region is accurately reflected. You may also list an agent that can bring the cat to the judging ring if for some reason you're not there. Maybe you are clerking or stewarding at the show. Then you can have an agent designated that can help you bring the cat to the ring in case you cannot. All right, so show hall, what do they look like? So they're made up typically of 4 areas in general: the benching areas, the judging rings, the check-in areas like we talked about, and there's usually also a vendor area where you can buy lots of great stuff for your kitties. The benching area consists of long rows, like you could see here, of cages. And this is, again, where you keep your cat in between judging and to groom your cat and wait until you're called to the judging ring. So this is just an example of a judging ring. It's usually set up in an L shape. You can't really see the side here, the right side here, but you have L shape here of cages. You will see the number of the ring, sometimes on the table, sometimes up on the back of the wall. And this is when you listen for your numbers, they might say kittens 1 through 10 are needed in ring number 3. So this is how you know this is ring number 3, this is where you need to go. And here you can see the judge getting prepared for the judging, going through their judging book. And this is her clerk over here getting ready to put up numbers. They will have a catalog here where they record the judges' decisions again and double check everything for accuracy. So then you might wonder, well, what is the judge actually looking for? So a judge needs to be familiar with all the breed standards. This is a description of what is really ideal for all the different breeds. And you can find all of our breed standards on the TICA website. I've just put an example here of my breed, the Persian breed group, just as an example. And you can see here that it specifies points for different parts of the cat. So head, body, coat, other things. And then within each of these, it has subcategories. So like, the head, what is the shape of the head supposed to look like? The ears, placement and size, eyes, etc. So this also calls out things that the judge should penalize in a cat, or that might be reason for withholding awards or disqualifying. The judge then compares all of the cats to this standard and kind of place them in accordance to how they think that each of the cats meet that standard. And then the judging or the mechanics of it, again, judging takes place in all of the rings at the same time. The judges don't know what cat they have in front of them in terms of what's their name, who is their owner or the breeder, what the title is of that cat. It just shows the classification of the cat, so kitten, adult, alter, etc. It will show the cat's entry number, breed, division, color, and pattern, and the age of the cat and then the sex of the cat. And so the judge does not have all the information that you will actually see in your exhibitor catalog. And the judge will take out each of the cat one at a time, put it on the judging table, and evaluate all the aspects that's in the standard we just looked at. Sometimes, a lot of times, you will see the judge playing with the cat, and the purpose of that is to get the cat maybe to open up their eyes or to stretch out their body. There's usually also a cat scratching post that the cats can stretch out on, and that really helps the judges see the length of the body and the musculature and things like that. Cats also have to be what we call amenable to handling. If they're not, that can be grounds for disqualification. And if a cat should bite a judge, that is automatic disqualification. Also, you will see that the judges sanitize their hands and the tables in between judging of the cats, as well as the stewards sanitizing the area behind the judging, so all the cages that the cats have been in. And this is really to minimize any disease that could be spread by handling cats in between. Hopefully we won't have any diseases, because everybody should bring healthy cats and cats that are vaccinated, but this is a precautionary thing that is very essential. And then the judge will award ribbons to winning cats, and I'll explain to you what all the ribbons means next. And then after they've judged all the cats in a class, the judge will select their top cat within that category, and that could be top 10 or 5, depending on how many cats are in that class. All right, so what does all those ribbons mean now? The judging is really like a pyramid of eliminations within a class. So you start out with color, judging color, then division, then breed, and then finals. And don't worry, I'm going to explain to you what all of that means if you don't know. But first, all of the cats of the same breed and color are judged against the written standard for that breed. And there are up to 5 cats are selected for best of color. You might have many, many more in a breed or in a class. You might have 20 Bengals of the same color. You pick the top 5 and award them color awards. So here's an example. These are my kitties. These are all brown tabby and white Persian cats. And somebody said to me when they were looking at this presentation, they all look the same. Well, they don't to me. But it can be hard for a judge, because a lot of cats may look very similar. And here's where the judge's expertise and also handling of the cat comes in, where you really have to feel what's underneath all that hair on a Persian, for example. Is the head smooth? Do they actually have any good boning underneath that coat? Sometimes it may be hard to see, the lengths of the body, things like that. So the judge will look at these 3 cats in the same color, and then they will decide how to award that. So here we hang, and then they will hang it on the cage. So first of color, second of color, and third of color. Now the judge will go on to best of division, and we will compare cats that are in the same division. That means cats that are, for example, all solid colored cats or tabby colored cats with white. Those are examples of divisions. I'm not going to go into too much detail, because we could spend all day talking about this, but those are some examples. And they will award the top 3 cats in a division the best of division awards. So here again, here's my example. Here we have three cats that are tabby and white. You have a blue mackerel tabby and white, a brown classic tabby and white, and a red classic tabby and white. All of these three cats got the Best of Color award, and they're now competing for the Best of Division awards. So this is what you will see then. The judge will hang the Best of Division, Second of Division, and Third of Division. And then comes the Best of Breed. So in this example, the judge now have to pick the best 3 Persian cats. And they are awarded using these kinds of colors here. And so here we have 3 different, these are all 3 different division colored cats. It's not necessary though that a cat need to get Best of Division to actually be in the top 3 Best of Breed. You could have a cat that got Second of Division that is selected rather than another cat that got Best of Division. But here in this example, we have a black tortie, brown classic tabby and white, and a black tortie and white that are all competing for Best of Breed. And now the judge have to select which one is best here. And so they might hang like this. You have Best of Breed, Second of Breed, and Third of Breed. And now when all the judging is done, now comes the big moment that all exhibitors wait for, the finals. This is where the judge will pick their top 10 or 5 cats, depending on the count in the class. This is where we get a lot of points for international and regional awards if we're making finals. So this is what we're always waiting for. The final numbers are not announced, so you will not hear your number called for the final. You will hear the clerk say something like, kitten final is now posted in ring number 3. So then you need to go up to ring number 3 and look at the numbers. And if your cat's number is up there, yay, go get your cat and bring it up to the ring. And the judge will then proceed to award top 10 through best in that class. Most clubs will give 1 rosette, like I said, when you check in. And if you get a final, you usually receive like a little sticker that shows what that final number was. If you were 3rd best kitten in Anne Charlotte Joseph's specialty ring, for example. And again, those points from finals count towards regional and international awards. And then now the show is over. So then what happens? Well, if you got a title at the show, congratulations, great, super exciting. Your cat is grand champion, dual grand champion, or supreme grand champion. We have multiple levels of titles. You will get a notification from TICA when your title is ready to be claimed, and you can go to TICA's website and pay for that award and get that awarded in the system. All shows during this period are scored for these larger awards, regional and international awards. At the end of the year, you can follow the scoring and the standing of the cats at TICA's website. And people that show a lot, we go there and look at the numbers all the time to see where our cat is in the standing. Another important place to look at. Also, if your cat has qualified for any of those international or regional award, you will receive notification from TICA, but I'm sure you will know much before that because you will be keeping a close eye on that. So if you showed once and you haven't, and you want to continue and you want to compete for those titles and awards, and you want to register your cat, take a few moments to do that. And we'll talk about the special packages we have here that you can sign up for to register your household pet. So with that, I definitely want to say, I hope that we have shows soon, and that we will be able to get back to showing as normal. And I hope that I'll see all of you at an upcoming show, and I want to say good luck to everyone. Our special VIP packages. So for people attending this seminar, we're offering these packages that provides a little bit of discount to, whereas if you would pay for these things individually. So our VIP package includes 1 year regular TICA membership, 1 free entry to our next virtual cat show, which we haven't talked too much about here, or we haven't talked about it at all because we have that time. But we have been having virtual cat shows where judges are judging cats based on photos and videos. And we are planning to have one later this year. So you'd receive a free entry to that. And you'll also receive a TICA cat coloring book. If we want to go for the premium VIP, we'll also add in a household pet registration, and you will get a fancy registration certificate for that. And the first 25 attendees signing up for these is also going to receive a very special TICA tote bag. This is just what the fancy registration certificate looks like that you would receive for your household pet. And if you're interested in signing up, we had a link up on the website before for the sign up, but that's down now. So if you want to sign up, you can email me at the address here, acjoseph@sbcglobal.net. And the information that we need is listed here. We need your name, email address, mailing address, phone number, and then all the details about your cat, the name, color, birth date, etc. And once we've submitted that to TICA, you will receive an email to go and activate an account and complete the registration for your cat. And that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you all for sitting through this, and now I'm going to open it up for questions.
We have a text message from Anna Jenkins asking, can you show the previous slide, please?
Yes, that's the right one. I want to sign up, so I'm going to send an email. Thank you.
Kylie has a question. My kitten will be in her first show on 9/12 in South Carolina. Do her points count when she reaches adult?
So kittens are scored from when they're 4 months old until they're 8 months. And kittens don't compete for titles, but they do compete for regional and international awards. But once they become an adult, then they will compete in a different class, so their points will start over, basically.
Kylie, did that answer your question? She says she will be 7 months old at that time. Is it true that there are politics with judges and certain breeds awarding certain breeds more awards?
In terms of politics, I think most judges really pride themselves on being impartial and really judging the cat and not the owner. I think there are perceptions. They may not always be impartial. For myself, I can say that I really pride myself on judging the cat and being fair to the cat. Each judge may have a different opinion. You will see different judges picking different cats. Every final is not going to look exactly the same because it's not always straightforward to say, you might have 2 really good cats that are going to pick between, and you might have to use some very little thing to decide between the 2. And for some judges, different things may be slightly more important. In terms of different breeds, one thing I will say, and I didn't really realize this until I became a judge, I didn't really think about it, is when you judge, a lot of shows I've judged, you might have 20 different breeds to choose from for your final. If I'm as a specialty judge, sometimes I can only pick 5 cats, and if I have 20 breeds, it's going to be very difficult. I might have 10, but nonetheless, only half of the breeds might be able to get into the final. It might be more difficult for minority breeds that the judges don't see very often, or that don't have any competition. There's just one of them. You might have a Bengal class with 20 outstanding Bengals, and that may make it easier for a Bengal to get into the final, but they also have to beat out 19 other Bengals. I think one thing I would encourage everyone is, if you have a minority breed, to engage with judges, and if there are things that they're asking you about. I often ask exhibitors about their breed, if it's a breed I haven't seen often, and ask them what's important to them and what should I be looking for. As a judge, one thing we do actually, or I did at least, and when I was trained, is to kind of have an image in your head of what the perfect cat looks like for a given breed. And for most breeds, I have a cat that I've seen that I'm like, that to me is my benchmark when I look at other breeds. But some breeds that I haven't seen that often, I may not have that, and some judges may not have that, especially if they haven't been judging that long. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Kylie, did you want to ask the rest of your question? You're unmuted.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is my first show, and that kitten's only 7 months old. And yeah, I have another question, and that's I have an 11-month-old girl. She doesn't seem like she was very well socialized, but she's so pretty, so beautiful. I just don't think I'll be able to show her, though, because she doesn't even like for me to pick her up. But I wondered if I might bring her with me into the show hall and just see how she reacts to it, and then I also wanted to see if I could get her photographed by one of the show photographers, and I didn't know if that was allowed.
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, most clubs will allow for a companion cat if you have an entered cat in the show. So you could bring a companion cat that is not shown, but that's allowed to be with your other cat in that cage. Or you might be able to purchase a separate cage for that cat, but usually, okay. But as long as you have another entry. And yes, if there's a show photographer, then you could definitely have your kitty's photos taken there. I understand what you're saying. I also have had cats and have cats that are kind of timid and scared. Sometimes I think it's their innate personality, and you may not be able to change that. But it could also be that they weren't around a lot of people, or got exposure to noisy environments and stuff like that. And I know some people will actually record what's going on in the show hall and then play that at home for the cats, and get them used to loud noises. And some places you could take your cat out, right? You could take your cat to PetSmart, right? You could take them in a carrier, or if you have one of these little strollers, get them used to being in the car. Go for little rides, just like 5 minutes, and see if you can work them up towards it.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a question from Ashley, and she doesn't want to be unmuted. So she says, I have a 16-week-old kitten who loves to play bite and attack my arms and hands. He can be rough at times, and I'd hate for him to do this at a show and be DQ'd as the result. any recommendations to prevent him from doing this behavior?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's one thing as a breeder, having young kittens, they often want to do that. And you do not want to let your cats play with your hands or your feet. And I think if your kitten's only 4 months old, I think you could train him or her to not do that. You want to make sure that when your cat wants to play, get out a toy. Don't let him or her play with your hands, or like dangle your hands in front of them, or like rough them on the stomach, because that will encourage that kind of behavior. But I think given the age, you should be able to get them to stop that.
We have a question from Sweet Williams International from India, and she has a question.
Welcome from India. We're super excited to have participation all the way from India.
Hello, this is Bobby here from India. I had a question. What is the point, how are points counted in TICA system?
That's a great question and a really long discussion. Actually, we were talking about that right before our club members that are putting this seminar together, because we've gotten a lot of questions on that, and we think that warrants a whole seminar of its own. And so we're planning of putting that together for another seminar shortly here. It's probably not something I can do justice to in just a few minutes, but we will do another seminar on that.
Okay. And I would even like to know how does one become a judge in the TICA system? Like what is the process? Because I'm one of the former members for cat fancy in India. So we have CFA clubs here, and we even have our own registry, like the Feline Club of India, which we established approximately 4 or 5 years ago. So I would even be interested to know, because I have been through quite around working with the CFA and studying the system. These days, I'm quite interested looking into the TICA system, and we are also planning on importing TICA Bengal. So I would like to know even how does that work with the TICA?
Another great question. There are a couple of different ways that you can become a TICA judge. And there's also different restrictions for what we call isolated areas, which I think India would fall under that right now, which has a little less restrictions than if you live like here in the US, for example. You can enter either as a breeder or an exhibitor. And if you email me, I will send you the links with all of the information where you can look it up. But there are different requirements. So if you want to enter the judging program as a breeder, there are requirements for how many litters you need to breed. There are requirements on how many titles you need to get on cats, how long you need to be a TICA member. And if you enter as an exhibitor, there's similar rules, except you don't have the requirement that you have to have bred kittens, but then you will need to have shown more cats to more titles. But if you'd like to email me at the address on the screen here, I'll be happy to send you all of the details to get you set up with that.
Thank you from India, or from California. We have a question from Lynn, and she doesn't want to be unmuted as well. She wants to know, can I show out of my region, and what happens to the points? And then her next question was also, do points roll over from year to year?
So you can definitely show outside of your region. If you, people that show cats all the time, including myself, people, we call it campaigning, when you're campaigning to get a top title for your cat. We travel to all the different regions, basically look at, okay, where are the judges that might like my cat the best, and where's the highest count, things like that. So you can definitely show outside of your region. However, if in order to get regional awards, you need to have shown in your region at least once. Now, there's an exception for this year and last year to that rule because of COVID, and because the last year's show season got ended early. And obviously this season, there are very few regions that actually are able to have shows right now. So in order to get a regional win, you do not need to have shown in your region, just for this year and last year. I think that the requirements for titles are also reduced to that of isolated areas, which is a lesser requirements.
Do points roll over from year to year?
No, they do not. With the exception of title points. So your international and regional award points, they do not roll over. That starts over for the next show season. But your title points you keep, and you continue to build upon those points to get more titles until you get to Supreme Grand Champion, which is the highest title.
I had a question though, because I thought the rule had changed about being able to show an unregistered purebred. Originally we used to be able to show, and the points would continue until you got your pedigree or your title or registration, but then it changed. So I think that rule changed, that you're not, if you're trying to, you can't keep the points unless you have a registration number. That's what
Right. I think, I don't know if it changed, but if you show your cat once, and then those points will count if you register your cat before the second show.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Well, if there are no more questions, I definitely want to thank all of you for attending this webinar. I hope it was useful information. If you have any questions or suggestions after the seminar, feel free to email me, and hopefully we will have some more interesting seminars for you. We definitely will do one, get one figured out for the scoring part of it. And we also have some other ideas for upcoming seminars that we want to do. So with that, thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your day or evening, wherever you happen to be. Thank you.
Thank you.